Ms. Bivens to be a part of the show several days ago. And when I decided to reformat this show, I failed to tell her that we were moving her to the 19th. So by the time she confirmed, everything was already in motion. So I decided all things work together for the good, so we just left it as it is, explaining why she is on this panel and not on next week's panel. But that said, Ms. Bivens, you're here, so tell us why you feel you should be reelected.
When I take a look at the priorities I identified as my reason for running in the first place, I believe I've held true to that platform, and heretofore my constituency apparently agrees that I have because they've reelected me before. When I came into office, there was a void in development in home building in Stop 6. As a matter of fact, for about a 10-year period, there were only 247 new housing permits in Stop 6. That's a decade, and that's ridiculous. And what had happened, the Stop 6 community imploded upon itself. And so I asked developers, why won't you develop in Stop 6? And it wasn't because of crime. It wasn't because of low income. It was because of restrictive zoning. And so I did several meetings with the community, property owners, and we realized that a historic restriction had been improperly placed. And to be historic, you have to have a certain number of structures that are viable and people take care of them. I found out, and I knew this, a number of the structures in place were not even native to Stop 6. I use my family's history as an example. My Aunt Lucille's house was moved from the south side of Fort Worth to make room for the construction of John Peter Smith Hospital. That wasn't native to Stop 6. Her neighbor, my Aunt Cora, that house was transferred from East Texas to Stop 6. Again, not native to Stop 6. And so the community as a whole agreed that we could rezone, and we opened up and we let people know if you own property, you should be able to build on your property. And today we have a 66% increase in new housing construction in Stop 6, and a lot of that is from people who were born here. They're moving back. The other reason why I think I should be reelected is because of my stance and my bringing Ban the Box to Fort Worth. Fort Worth became a Ban the Box city. I think it was 2015 when I introduced it. And what that means is if you apply for a job with the city of Fort Worth, you will not see that question asking about a criminal background. The box is banned. And so that's one reason why I'm very proud, because people who have any type of criminality in their background, at least their resume, their application gets viewed at before people would toss it out. In addition to new housing in Stop 6, I've got housing coming all over the district. If you go out Trinity Boulevard, they're about to build the 3,000th house, and that opens the room for more development. So those are just some of the reasons why I think I should be reelected.
Pastor Elsie, Chris, I think you pastor a church in the Stop 6 community, correct?
Correct.
And you spoke the other day something about development over in that area. What was your question again?
Oh, I just wanted to know more about what's going on with the Lake Arlington development.
Perfect timing for that question. Today, I think about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, we had a meeting. I'm not a part of that meeting, but I'd asked the city staff to seek out developers so that they could develop the old Dairy Queen site, Pastor, and I know you know where that is. That's Berry and Stall Cup. Well,
right.
That Berry and Stall Cup is part of a corridor that leads into Lake Arlington. Now, a few years ago, probably 2016, I was able to bulldoze through a street called Dowdell, and that blocked off access to Lake Arlington forcing people to drive through the creek, through a neighborhood to get to the lake. Now you don't have to do that. But that site at the Dairy Queen location remained burnt out and blighted from a fire that took place in 1984. And so from 1984 until I got elected, this burnt-out building that used to be a Dairy Queen just stood there on the corner. And so I bulldozed the structure, and I think that was in November of 2013, time I got elected, and we had trouble attracting developers. And so the Economic Development Department, upon my direction, did advertising asking for developers to submit proposals as to how they would build and what they would build there. And so we were able to attract developers. I know that 2 of them are local, but I can't disclose their names because I don't know them formally. But today was the first meeting on a committee that has been assembled to take a look at what they're proposing to build. It's my hope that they will have not only some form of retail, but some form of mixed use. Who knows, maybe apartments and retail. As soon as I came to office, one guy wanted to build a dry cleaners. I was opposed to that because what that means is only you and your family are going to have jobs, and you're going to bring some environmental challenges to this area. And so I'm real pleased that we were able to get developers interested, and the same process that was in place for the Evans-Rosedale development was pretty much mirrored in this process. So that's what's happening there. In addition to that, Commissioner Brooks helped me with Lake Arlington in 2014 because we needed to have some striping. We needed a real place where people could park. And so because of a partnership, the commissioner offered to help, and he gave us a new striped parking lot at Lake Arlington. In addition to that, we were able to expand parking. We had to remove a few trees, but that allowed people to put more cars on the parking surface, if you will. And we added new playground equipment. And so that's what's happening there.
Into tonight, and good luck with your race.
Thank you.
Okay, y'all, we're going to go to area code 817-446. Good evening. You're on Let's Talk Fort Worth. 817-446.
Oh,
last call.
Me?
Okay. Yes, that would be you.
Hi, Carrie. Thank you for having this, and thank you for doing that, and thank you for all the people coming on to the show. That's really great. And you come on and take questions and stuff like that. I have 100 questions for our Council Member Gyna Bivens, but I'm not going to ask them right now. I'd rather respond to a little bit just what the one before us called in, D.C., is running for mayor. That's almost the same thing I've been saying constantly when it comes to redistrictizing. I don't remember seeing him participate in any of our task force meetings, but I was I'm involved in all of them, and I talked to a lot of people on it, and I said it's not the color of the skin or the gender. It's the qualifications and the honesty, and that's what we're missing downtown more than anything. I don't care about race or gender. We're looking for honesty. And anyway, some of that's on my website at fwdistrict5.com. I am running for District 5 against Gyna Bivens there, and I'd like to take a moment here I'm doing candidates in the park because I believe one way to get our voting up better, or try to, is to take the candidates to the people, and I'm papering the area and trying to get them to come out to talk to their candidates and take questions and get to know their candidates. So I'd like to offer Gyna Bivens a challenge. I'd like to debate her and be able to ask her 3 questions, and she's welcome to ask me 3 questions if she'd like to take me up on that offer sometimes late April, perhaps at one of these candidates in the park or a special venue or anything. And I'll put the same offer to any other candidate that's running District 5. I'll be glad to anytime, anywhere, to take on questions with you, but I want a chance to ask some questions as well, and I'll be glad to answer any questions from any candidates. And Carrie, I appreciate you having this very much here, and I'm going to get off and listen in, and thank you all for coming on the show, all right?
Okay. That was Bob Willoughby running for District 5 against Gyna Bivens. Ms. Bivens, I am convinced Bob Willoughby has a crush on you. I'm just convinced he does. Are you accepting his challenge to a debate, or where do you want to go with that?
No, I deal in facts, and Bob doesn't deal in facts. He has his own set of facts, and I deal with facts. I also know what Bob brought to City Hall. He had a code compliance case dated back to before I was even elected, and that's what triggered his interest, and he comes all the time. The interesting thing, though, Carrie, is I agree with Bob on some things. Bob believes that we should have better signage when there are zoning cases. I believe that's true. But one thing that I really take issue is that he tells people, I took away people's property rights by rezoning their properties. That was done at the request of people trying to preserve their property rights. So, no, I'll debate with Bob at the proper forums that most of our different organizations host. I think the NAACP will be hosting one. Usually there is a forum hosted by East Fort Worth Business Association, and so there are some forums where all of us are invited, such as yours, and I'll be able to see him then. But I have no interest in seeing him before then, and we don't do political things in the parks with the city of Fort Worth, and so that, I don't know if that's legal or not, but we try not to bring politics to park.
Okay. All right.
Why would it take Council Member Bivens 8 years to respond about zoning signs? Any honest person would have addressed the issue immediately on merit without being asked a dozen times. The smart thing for Bivens to do is not to get in a Q&A with Willoughby. It could cost her seat.